All right, man. I'm back in Voula. We're headed toward something they call the Platia. I got turned around a little, but I will find it. It's still new to me. I'm from here, but this resembles nothing like it did in the past. These used to be residential homes. They've all turned into apartment buildings and whatnot. And we're headed toward the sea, and then I'll try to come back around to Platia so we can check that out. Greece ain't clean, man, you know? So that's something that takes a little getting used to. I never understood the garbage culture, throwing your garbage down. I just don't get it. But the further east you travel, no, I shouldn't say that. Certain countries are cleaner than others. Greece is not clean. It just isn't, man. And that's just the way it is. You're going to find pockets like my neighborhood where there's a little more tax revenue collected. This is actually one of the more upscale areas in Greece. And so they have a little bit of better control on the trash. When I talk to my Greeks about it, they tell me it's foreigners. They tell me xenos. Xenos is, that's where the word xenophobia comes from. Xenophobia, rather, comes from. And xenos means outsider. It's kind of like farang in Thai. So a lot of xenos live here because they can afford it, and these rents are a little higher than most Greeks want to pay. So as a result, it stays cleaner. As we do a video of the father maybe later, you might start to see that it's a little more dirty than Voula. And so that's one of my issues with Greece, man. If you're traveling and stuff, man, don't throw your trash down. Why? So there's garbage cans everywhere. So Greece. Now I've ended up where I'm not going toward the Platia, but you can see the sea down there. The beach is very nice. We'll do some videos of that later. Still warm enough to swim. Water's still warmer than the air, and very refreshing. It seems like there's more salt content in the sea here than there was in Thailand, so it makes swimming easy. You can float, etc. Yeah. The other myth I'll dispel is that Greeks are not lazy. You see these guys building stuff like that, but they don't prioritize work. And so oftentimes this is conflated with laziness. Work is not their life's purpose. It's what they do to survive. Versus in the United States, where work becomes your identity, it becomes who you are. And many of you become lost when you retire because you lose that identity and you haven't cultivated your personal relationships because in the pursuit of money. So let me get in the shade. And it's a sad thing to see. Here, family is very important. Do they argue? Of course. I have family members that aren't speaking right now. It will pass. That's how Greeks are. It's emotion times 10. And so when they're angry, they're going to exacerbate that to the point where it's a problem. They don't talk. And then now the love will overcome that, and they'll come back. So, Greek drama. But family, very important. First, a lot of people live for today. They don't think about tomorrow. Kind of like how I live. And it's not the safest way to live. It's precarious sometimes, but it's natural. It's a natural way to live. I'm not thinking about how to make money. Don't care if I make money on YouTube. I'm just trying to share information, share my travels, stuff like that. So, YouTube, there's a lot of YouTubers that bullshit, man. Don't believe people that go somewhere on vacation. I don't care if you've been to Thailand or Greece 10 times for 2-week vacations. Like I said, if you haven't been to the post office, if you haven't been to a government office, if you haven't received medical care, you're really not experiencing what it's like to live somewhere. Renting an apartment, trying to do business. I find Greeks difficult to do business with, but yet there's a lot of successful business people. They just don't do it in a Western style. I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to find a Plataea. A lot of the new buildings are postmodern style. Holy shit. That kind of startled me a little bit. But yeah. That's the other thing. The dogs here are nervous as well. I'm a dog lover, and I found that dogs kind of take on the personality of their owner. So like in Thailand, soy dogs are super chill. If you go out into the country and they're unfamiliar, you could get bit. But like in popular areas, they're used to people. They don't bother you. They're very chill. They very rarely bark. Here, people have dogs as house alarms. So a lot of dog barking going on, and the dogs are nervous. They usually aren't well cared for. So that's the deal here. People are starting to have them more as pets as opposed to guard dogs. This dude across the street's looking at me. Like I said, they're not down with the video stuff. They don't like to be recorded. The same thing, people don't realize in Thailand, but it's actually against the law to record people without their permission if they wanted to push the issue. And I don't know what the laws here are in Greece. And Greeks kindly only loosely follow the law anyway. So, yeah. Law is like a suggestion here. Same with a stop sign. Just a suggestion. All right, I'm at Central Plataea. I'm still trying to figure out what I've done wrong. I think if I head up this way, I think we'll get to those coffee shops and stuff that I wanted to show you. I don't know who my additional subscribers were that subscribed during my absence, but I appreciate it, man. It prompted me to do these videos again. Yeah. So there's some of that postmodern stuff I was telling you about. New apartment buildings, and everywhere is a park. Everywhere. And it's usually filled with people. They're sleeping now. Friday night, probably stayed out 2 o'clock in the morning. You can go to Taverna at midnight and order a meal. They eat very late. So, night culture. It might change in the winter. It's been a long time since I lived in Greece in the winter time. And I've mostly experienced spring and summer. So this fall and this winter is going to be kind of a new experience, and I've learned in my travels people act differently in the midst of winter than they do at the peak of summer, right? Start to get a little depressed, it's cold, can't be outside much, and this is something that repeats everywhere. So these sidewalks are decent because of where I am, but for the most part sidewalks are about as bad as they are in Thailand, and it just works. But as far as being handicapped in either country, Thailand or Greece, not a lot of accommodation for that. Not a lot of empathy for if you're in a wheelchair or something like that. It's not accessible. We do a good job of that in the United States. We also do a good job of keeping things clean, for the most part. This is part of the Central Plataea now. A bunch of stores, and again, coffee culture. You see the people are sitting and having coffee. There's not a lot of pressure like there is in the United States. When you go to a restaurant or a coffee shop, they keep the place cold. They're constantly asking you, do you want something more, or are you ready for your bill, so that they can turn the table. Here, you can get a frappe, and you can sit and talk with your people for hours, and just buy that one frappe. And that's what they do. That is what they do. And I like that. And there's no pressure. No pressure to move out. There's no pressure to tip. There's just no pressures. It's a beautiful area. I'm really starting to soak it in now. I was kind of stressed out on my move. My son's getting tired of being transient. He's pressuring me. And just like the rest of us in life, man, you struggle to do the shit you want, but sometimes it's not the right thing for the people that you love. And it's problematic, man. I could be nomadic the rest of my life. I don't feel a particular attachment to any peoples or anything, really. Friendships are difficult for me, except in Greece. Americans are very intolerant to be friends with. I don't know what they expect, man. If you don't agree with them politically, if you don't agree with them on certain subjects, this is often an excuse to break contact. I just had a conversation with a good friend from I've known him since we were 10. And there's another guy that we've known since we were 10, and he became friends with him, and now they're politically divided, and he doesn't want to talk to him anymore. And that kind of hurt me. I was just like, why are we doing this? And here is my landlord is calling me, so we'll wrap this up real quick. Here is my thoughts on people being politically divided and stuff. You are arguing about things that are outside of your control. We can argue about Israel, we can argue about Palestine, we can argue about Trump. It's not something that we can control. And so why do we argue about that? No one's calling me to ask what Israel should do. So why should I even have an opinion? It's not something that I can do anything about. Let's cross over and go to the other side. People are generally healthier here. You can see the girl running. Considering their lifestyle, they stay thin. So this is kind of a red flag for the food in the West, man. I think it really has to do with the purity of the food, what's going into it, and what they eat. The food here is pure. It's a meat-centric diet. I know Blue Zone books and Mediterranean diet try to indicate that it's not. But that's bullshit. The same thing with Thai. Can you be a vegan and be successful? Yeah, of course. And they are Orthodox here, so there's often times when they're restricted from eating meat if they follow those practices, usually Wednesday and Friday. But it's a meat-centric diet, and so is Thailand. It's just a misnomer that it's not. Meat is cooking up everywhere in Thailand from the morning to the evening. So there's a little bit of a misnomer out there. You got Mediterranean diet is vegetarian. People have various reasons for not eating meat, and I respect that. But I'm going to tell it like it is, man. These are meat-centric diets. And yet they're still healthier. Medical care is very inexpensive here. I went and picked up a prescription, a little bit of an inhaler. I have lung disease, so I didn't bring my stuff with me. I went to the pharmacist. I explained what I was looking for, and €2.36 later, I left with my prescription. So, in that sense, the society really does prioritize that people need medicine, and we're not going to make it to where they die because they can't afford their medicine. So they collectively pay into the tax system. They have social health care, and for $2.50 I got my prescription, and in the United States I think I was paying $20, so I haven't been there in years as far as picking up a prescription. So the last one I left, that same prescription was probably about $25 to $30, and that's with insurance. So y'all are getting scammed big time, and it's kind of confusing how you collectively will take to the streets to, say, protest Palestine, which is a horrible situation. I'm not going to detract from that. But you're in the streets protesting that while simultaneously you can't afford food and medication. Shouldn't you be in the streets about that? The Greeks would be. Go ahead and double bread prices here and see what happens. So, something to think about. I think I'm going to go 20 minutes this time because it's so nice. See that coffee culture in effect. It's I don't know what it is. It's probably like 9 now. People are starting to come out. By noon, it will be full, and this whole area will be packed with people. You can see kids on the playground. That's another beautiful thing. At 9 o'clock at night, kids are on the playground. We live outside here, so that's one of the major bonuses of living in Greece is outdoor culture, and I love being outside. Got some goat milk from this organic store yesterday. A little high, but first time I tried goat milk. I don't use cow's milk, especially in the West. Goat milk was good. I recommend it. So, you guys are new subscribers. You know where I'm at. Even if you have questions about Thailand, feel free to post, man. I'll share the information as I can. And because I was helped a lot by YouTube, but unfortunately, I found out that a lot of people were just total bullshitting, especially when it comes to Thailand and the cost of living. Yes, you can survive for very little, but that's what you're doing. You're surviving. And so, let's not call it success. I'm on the fence about it. If you're living off $1,000 a month, you don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to commute to work. You're doing what you can. I was going to say what you want, but can you really do what you want with $1,000? I don't think so. But if you're free to walk to the beach when you wake up, not answering to anybody, I guess that's a form of a win. But it's very precarious. One emergency, one injury, and now you're in trouble. So I don't recommend it. And I think the YouTubers that do are providing false information and leading a lot of people into situations in which they probably could have avoided. So I said what I spent, but I found that that's problematic also. It's really no one's business. And I've also been erroneous in my calculations, because most of these dudes, when they're talking about their budgets, they're talking about for them. And gosh, man, since the time I was 21 years old, I've been feeding more to myself. And so there's never been a time when I haven't had one dependent, two dependents, or more. And I help when family members are in need. That's another thing from the Greek culture. We're not gonna watch one of our family members go hungry while we're feasting. And so that leads to a lot of not poverty, but let me use this example. You're a restaurant owner. You need 2 waiters, but you have 4 cousins that are out of work. So you're going to employ all 4 of them, and that's going to eat into your profits. And so you might never become wealthy, but your entire family is employed at your business, and everybody gets to eat from the collective fruit of their labor. This is a concept that escapes the United States, huh? Yeah. So that's why many Greek people, even though they work hard, have businesses, they're not really wealthy, because they're spreading that love. They're giving jobs to their relatives that need them. And that's a beautiful thing, man. I'm going to end there. Be well.